Broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Here's your host, Andrew Romanella.
Okay? Like, just get the hell out of here. Nobody cares what you think if you're not a Mets fan.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of The Rome Show, broadcasting live on YouTube, Twitter X, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm your host, Andrew Romanella. It's Monday. Happy welcome to a new week, whatever you'd like me to say. We got a lot of football to break down today, including the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots squaring up in 2 weeks for a rematch of a historic Super Bowl. We got some more hirings in the National Football League, and I give you my weekend's best. I got two best things I saw this weekend. The pleasantries stay the same. It's the Rome Show 1 on Instagram and Twitter X. That's the Rome Show. Then the number 1, Instagram and Twitter X. Go ahead and hit that follow button. You can comment live on Twitter X and Instagram. YouTube.com/the Romanellas. That's youtube.com/the Romanellas. Go over there. Also hit subscribe. We got a lot of content on the Romanellas YouTube page. Then finally, Facebook.com/The Rome Show. We call that the OG social media site. The AFC Championship saw the Patriots defeat the Broncos 10-7. The NFC Championship saw the Seattle Seahawks defeat the Los Angeles Rams 31-27. It was the tale of two completely different football games. Now, if you're living in the Northeast right now, like I am, you spent the entire day yesterday inside because Snowmageddon has been going on. We got dumped on yesterday with, no exaggeration, like 16 inches of snow. By the time I woke up yesterday at this time, my car, my back patio, right in front of my front door had 6 inches of snow already fallen. So if you're like me, and what feels like most of the country right now, but definitely the East Coast, you've been dealing with an excess amount of snow for the last 36 hours, okay? And that was the difference in both of these contests. I'm not even going to say that Nick's not being the starter for Denver was the reason they lost that game. Absolutely not. Obviously, you have a better chance with Bo Nix than Jarrett Stidham. And obviously, Jarrett Stidham fumbles the football in the second quarter, which leads to 7 points by the Patriots. And then the interception to end the game, 2 costly turnovers. But there were still 2 missed field goals, though one of them in insanely difficult conditions, and 99 other things that we could probably dissect in this game, that it wasn't ultimately just because the backup quarterback was playing for the Denver Broncos. The snow in half number 2 changed everything. Because if you saw the picture of the first half of that game and then the second half, it was 2 completely different football fields. Whereas in Seattle, though cold, they got the chance to play without any true weather compromising situations, which is why you saw such a more offensive explosion. Let's start in Denver for a second here. Okay, the final score was 10-7. There were 3 total points scored in the second half of this game. Like I mentioned, the snow was falling. You got to the point where you could not really see the line markers every 5 yards to tell where a first down was. And it was the true test of defense and defensive grittiness. It was the true test. Whichever defense in that game found a way was going to be the team that won that football game. Though Drake May in contention for the most valuable player, though Drake May runs the rock in for the only touchdown for the New England Patriots, which ultimately led to being the most important points scored on the day outside of their second half field goal. When you have a game like that where an MVP caliber quarterback is 10 for 21 with 86 yards, you better play elite level defense. And the Patriots did that. Something to note throughout the entire weekend of conference championship play. You notice how good those defenses were outside of the Rams? And even then, the Seattle Seahawks defense is going up against the best offense in the league. But when it came down to it, when it was the most important times in the game, when they needed a stop on fourth down in the red zone with under 10 minutes left in the contest, only up by 4, the best defense in the league made the stop. And if you're out there rooting for a franchise or an organization that only wants to care about offense and quarterback, saddle up, because you're never really winning a Super Bowl. Saddle up, because you can get close. Rams showed that. Bengals showed it in the Super Bowl they went to in 2019. And you've seen other examples. But Fernando Mendoza said it on Monday last week when the Indiana Hoosiers won the national championship. I've been saying it at this podium for as long as I'll let people, or as long as people will let me speak to them on a microphone. Defense wins championships. And that was the difference maker all day in both games yesterday. In the first game, it's which defense wouldn't break, because that was all we were watching was defense. And in the second game, it was what defense can finally get a stop. And that one stop came in the most important time at red zone late in that game to finish the Pats and the Broncos. This will be the 12th Super Bowl appearance in franchise history for the New England Patriots. I believe they are looking for their 6th Super Bowl victory as a franchise. Drake May, now the youngest quarterback since Dan Marino to reach the Super Bowl, and the only quarterback in the history of National Football League to be born in the year 2000s. What? And reach the Super Bowl. Third. The Patriots were third team in National Football League history to win a conference championship game with 10 or fewer points. The other two examples were the Buffalo Bills in 1991, who coincidentally enough defeated the Denver Broncos by a score of 10-7, and the then St. Louis Rams in 1979 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Finally, they are the 6th team in the modern Super Bowl era, the New England Patriots are, to reach the Super Bowl after having a 5-win or less season the year before. To keep that stat moving forward, the only team to have only won 4 games the year before and reached the Super Bowl. Those teams, the aforementioned 4-win, 5-win teams turned to Super Bowl contender, are 2-3 all time in the Super Bowl. If you follow the Rome Show 1 on Twitter, X, and Instagram, I put out a clip the other day that stated no matter what, in the most important football games against two heavyweights throwing haymakers at each other, it's going to come down to defense and special teams, okay? And in both of these contests, starting with the AFC Championship, there were two turnovers, both on the side of the Denver Broncos, one that led to 7 points deep in the offensive zone for the Patriots, and then one that the game. And secondly, there were two missed field goals on both sides. Now, the Patriots guy kicked the ball from 63 yards at the end of the half that had like zero chance whatsoever and was a hope and a prayer for 3 more points. But 0 for 2, 2 missed field goals on both sides. The field goal was the difference maker in the second half for the Patriots. And then to finish, when you really look at it all, there's a lot that went wrong in this game for the Broncos, even for the Patriots, right? But the thing that I'm going to come back to is Sean Payton's decision in the second quarter to go for it on 4th down deep in the Patriots territory instead of kick the field goal and go up 10-0. You don't have your number one quarterback under center. You are facing one of the best 3 defenses in the league. Your first 5 minutes of the game, Jarrett Stidham drove the ball 50 yards down the sidelines and then rolled out for a touchdown pass. Then you stop the Patriots. I believe it was 4 straight possessions to start the game. The New England Patriots punted the football. Momentum on your side. Your defense is elite. You're clearly stifling the Patriots offense to start the game. You have a chance to go up by 10 at home. And you go for it on 4th down. It's an atrocious try. And then from that moment on, 1, the Denver Broncos didn't score for the last 54 minutes of the game. But also 2, I don't know where we got with these football coaches, where going for it on 4th down is almost always guaranteed comparative to kicking the field goal. I understand how quickly points get scored. I understand that we've seen 15-point, 20-point comeback with 4.5 left. I understand all of those things. But you're in the first quarter, maybe early second quarter, of the AFC Championship game. You got a guy starting at quarterback who hasn't started in 2 years. You could go up by double-digit points in the second quarter at home. And I know you thought at the time, Sean Payton, oh, this is going to be a game where we have to score points. Read the freaking room, man. Without snow on the ground, there was barely any offense moving up and down the field. Without snow on the ground, that game was not going to be a barn burner. I was telling everyone, the Patriots need to score 21 points max. They win this football game. They need to score 10. 10. And I get it. You can't really necessarily predict that this isn't going to be a shootout. But it's kind of like, hey, man, 2 of the best defenses in the league. It feels like it's 0 degrees out here. It could be snowing. We have our backup quarterback, and our defense is stifling the potential MVP and his offense. Let's kick this field goal. Let's go up 10-0, and let's move on with our lives. Instead, you don't kick the field goal. Now, the Patriots don't score, but on the next possession is the turnover. There's the momentum swing. The rest of the game is history. I just don't get where it has changed for these coaches that like kicking a field goal is a stupid proposition. I don't understand it. To move that to the next game with which you saw the Seahawks defeat the Rams 31-27. This might be an unpopular opinion. Okay? But also late in that game, all right, the Rams are down 31 to 27 or 31-27. Okay. 4.5 left on the clock. They might have had 2 timeouts. It was the second time they were going for 4th down on that late drive. And I get it. You believe you got to get in the end zone there. I also believe it because your defense has low-key sucked all day. Well, that's a lie. All second half, okay? Because in the first half, the Rams held Seattle to 17 points. Third quarter is where I really want to hone in on this. In the third quarter, you gave up 2 touchdowns, and it felt like Seattle could freely go up and down the field. You did the same thing. 28 points were scored in the third quarter of this contest. So now you're in the fourth quarter, you're driving. You get the first 4th down, okay? And you obviously know that kicking the field goal only puts you down by 1, and you still have to give the Seattle Seahawks the ball back with defense struggling to a degree. Sam Darnold in this game threw for 346 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was 25 of 36. Jackson Smith and Jigba had 10 receptions, 153 yards, and a touchdown. Okay? I could see why Sean McVay is sitting there saying to himself, maybe I should definitely go for this. Okay? And a lot of people, I said it, unpopular opinion. A lot of people are going to say you should have gone for it there. I think you should have kicked the field goal. And here's why. Okay? First off, a little bit of a tangent. If you watch the video, it looks like Sean McVay's streaking down the field to call timeout, doesn't call timeout. He's unhappy with himself. That could be a whole nother situation right there where just didn't like the look and didn't call the timeout. Nonetheless, you kick the field goal. I think it's like 4:30 left in the game. Something around that. Kick the field goal. I think you had 1 or 2 timeouts and the 2-minute warning left. Okay? Maybe 1 timeout, 2-minute warning. But the clock wouldn't have run out fully. And again, if you can stop them, you get the ball back. And you only have to drive. And again, tough field goal kicking conditions, cold out, Seattle, wind, tough field goal kicking conditions could be the factor. Could be. It's not like in Denver where there was snow on the ground. You couldn't see anything. But in that moment, said, I think they should kick the field goal here. And I know, unconventional, right? Not the thought there, because what if you never get the ball back? I hear you. Okay, I hear you. But coincidentally enough, they did get the ball back. And they got the ball to the 45 or 50-yard line with 10 seconds left. So they get the ball back and, in theory, are 1 play away from having a chance to kick a field goal to win the game. Again, unpopular opinion. Again, I get the reasoning to go for it on 4th and 2 on the 8-yard line. And then on top of that, you tell yourself, well, then if my defense can stop them in the first 3 plays here, we flip the field position and have another chance anyways. I get all of those things. But when I watch the first game and a coach doesn't kick a field goal, and I watch the second game, or better yet, I go back onto my Rolodex of the season, and I'm like, all right, I think what I've learned here is that every single coach in the last 5 minutes of a game would rather trust their offense in that moment right there, win the game or lose the game for us right here, than their defense. Why? I don't know. Probably because everyone's bad at the defensive 2-minute drill. I have no idea.
Right. I want to start hearing that it's important that a team is practicing their defensive 2-minute drill. Because no one in the NFL can stop anyone with like, if you have over a minute left, you're kicking a field goal every time.
That has been a sounder on this system for 5 years, and it still reigns true to this day. If you have the ball with like less than 2 minutes left and you're on offense losing, it almost feels like you have the advantage. In today's NFL, the way it currently is constituted, the 2-minute defense is atrocious on teams. Like we said earlier, defense wins championships. So you can slice that one 99 different ways, okay? Ultimately, I'm sure the numbers say Sean McVay made the right decision. There being the number one offense in the league says Sean McVay made the right decision. All of those things might tell you Sean McVay made the right decision. But I'm just stating there's so many more chances for a field goal to be okay for a team than going for it. But we've gotten into this wild, wild west territory in the National Football League, and we can't accept points. We can't just be okay with points. We have to be okay with touchdowns. And I get it. But, man, when a team wins a game 10-7, you're telling me field goals don't matter? When a team wins a game by 4 total points, you're telling me field goals don't matter? Extra points don't matter? I watched a team lose a playoff game this year because the kicker missed an extra point and they lost by 1. I got to think the field goal kicking has a huge impact. Special teams and turnovers. When you look at this game, special teams and turnovers were huge because neither team turned the football over except for one muffed punt that could be, not is, but could be the difference in the game. It's hard. It is hard to overcome difficulties like that. This is going to be the 4th Super Bowl appearance in the history of the Seattle Seahawks. I saw something crazy today. It was like there have been, since 2005, I think there have been like 3 popes sworn in by the Vatican or something like that. And each time that has happened, the Seahawks have made the Super Bowl. I know. Wild, right? Sports are crazy things. To flip that too and stay in that conversation, think about this, okay? Found this graphic this morning of Sam Darnold with the New York Jets. He was 13-25. The Panthers, he was 8-10. He was the backup in San Francisco. Then he went 14-4 last year with the Vikings and now 16-3 with the Seattle Seahawks. How you feeling if you're a Jets fan, if you're a Panthers fan, even if you're a Vikings fan, right? And we sit here still thinking, oh, maybe J.J. McCarthy could be the future. But how often do you see this right here? How often do you see the guy that was considered a bust, the guy that everyone believed wasn't good enough, the guy that a multitude of teams said, nah, we're good on this dude? How often do you see that guy then have a 2-year stretch? Not one fluke year, 2-year stretch, not with one team, with 2 separate offenses, 2-year stretch. Back-to-back 14-win seasons, best win-loss record in the league, one of the top statistical quarterbacks in the National Football League, and now has his team in the Super Bowl. In that draft, you had Lamar Jackson. In that draft, you had Josh Allen. In that draft, Baker Mayfield went number 1 overall. In that draft, Josh Rosen was drafted by the Arizona Cardinals. In that draft, Sam Darnold has risen to the top as the first quarterback to make a Super Bowl. Alex Smith, great example. Sam Darnold, great example. There aren't a lot of them out there. Baker Mayfield also, though, even though he's in that same example, kind of still a good example on how he was a castaway by the Browns, then also by the Carolina Panthers with Sam Darnold, and now the success he's having in Tampa Bay. Don't see it often. When those castaway quarterbacks, quote-unquote busts, find it with another team. You saw it for half the year with Daniel Jones this year. It just goes to show you that the franchise of players drafted into, the coaching staff that is around them, is a huge factor into whether or not they're going to succeed, especially in that rookie deal. If you don't have the right pieces from a coaching standpoint to a weapon standpoint to the way that the franchise is run, it is almost impossible, no matter the talent level, for these dudes to be uber successful. In this game, by the way, last night, Stafford and Darnold combined for 720 yards and 6 touchdowns. Matthew Stafford is the only player in National Football League history to have 2 300-plus yard playoff games, 3 TD-plus playoff games with 0 turnovers, and not win the game. That's wild. There is certain players, Matthew Stafford being one of them, that has something around them that allows these crazy statistics to happen. Just think about his first 12 years or whatever it was in Detroit. And then you kind of look back and you're like, he's had some crazy losses. Remember the Calvin Johnson catch, no catch in Dallas? I mean, wild. And then he wins the Super Bowl and someone falls off the stage while he's celebrating. And now you got this scenario where it's like 2 straight years he's been elite, like a ridiculous level of elite, and somehow his team's losing. So anyways, 2 games this year versus the Seattle Seahawks, over 300 passing yards, 3 or more touchdowns and no turnovers, and he's 0-2 in both of them. Matthew Stafford's just that guy with those weird stats that show up around him. And now we have a Super Bowl matchup. Super Bowl 60 is set, and that's going to be February 8th in San Francisco, California, i.e. Santa Clara, i.e. the home of the San Francisco 49ers. Megan from Down Under writes in, how about the Seahawks, brother? Big dance, here we come. Very exciting for the Seahawks fan. Meg continued on, yes, points matter. Any points are good points. Well, Jesus had 12 disciples, so the Pope thing for Seattle makes so much sense. It really does. For those that don't understand that reference point, the fan base in Seattle is called the 12s. And because the Seahawks are making the Super Bowl every time we get a new Pope, and Jesus had 12 disciples, we put it all together. It seems to be that the Seahawks are the team of the kingdom. Got to love it. You can write in just like Meg does, youtube.com/the Romanellas, Twitter X, Instagram, the Rome Show. We'll take a quick commercial break. We come back. We talk new head coach in Pittsburgh, some coordinators hired, and the best of the weekend. So much still to do here on the Rome Show on a Monday, January 26th. Back after this.
What is one thing every great leader has in common? They challenge their people to not stop at the first right answer. Tighten the Lug Nuts is a leadership book that will teach you how to move past the first right answer with entertaining and detailed examples founded in real-world concepts and experiences. Accelerate towards your professional goals with Tighten the Lug Nuts, one of the best leadership books available.
Well, yeah. Welcome back into the Rome Show here on a Monday, January 26, 2026, 7:42. State of New Jersey, state of Snowmageddon. Hopefully the people are warm and safe out there. You know it's a bad snowstorm when days before the snow comes, they're canceling stuff. That's how you know it's a bad snowstorm. When I had my job on Friday canceled for Monday, you're like, maybe this thing is going to be real. But I don't know how anyone else out there feels, because I have a love-hate relationship with weather, okay? My love with weather is I kind of enjoy the seasons, okay? I'm a big summer guy. I love the sun. I'm a baseball coach, okay? But I don't not enjoy the seasons. Okay. So that's my love aspect of it. There is some fun to the snow. I love the snowboard. I do like winter sports. Okay. But I'm a beach guy. I like the lake. So I like the sun. So I can deal with the seasons. I'm good. There's my not. I can be a fan, and I can be wrong about what I'm stating is going to happen today. And yet I just wake up the next day and I can completely throw the entire area into chaos because they're going to expect something and then it doesn't happen. And I'm good. That is my hate. My hate is that I could look at 3 weather sites getting ready for Snowmageddon, and every single one of them has something different. It bothers me that when I look at the weather report and I go to the hourly and it says 37%, that I would think, whoa, there's a 37% chance it's going to rain. No, that's not what it means. It means in the area with which you searched, i.e., town of New Jersey, it's going to tell you the percentage of the town that is covered by the weather with which might or might not come. That's my problem with weather. Because you are allowed to be wrong every single day, and it's cool. There's zero consistency. Not one bit of consistency. See, in sports, that's a three-pointer. He made the three-pointer. We count that three-pointer. Game starts at 7:05. Yeah, some of them might be a little delayed, but for the most part, we're starting this game at 7:05. There's some variable. The good team could lose to the bad team. The bad team could be so atrocious that the game's done by the second quarter. You could have a snow game where it's only 10 seconds. Like, obviously, all those factors play into it. But for the most part, you're rolling up and you know what you're expecting. With the weather, complete opposite. Complete opposite. And that's what bothers me. Oh, playing a baseball practice? What's weather.com say? Well, it says it's only going to rain 42% of our area. Oh, what's WeatherBug say? Oh, WeatherBug says that it's about to be a monsoon. It's Noah's Ark 2.0. Grab your animals. And it's like, what? And then you go to the third site, like AccuWeather, and it's like, it's going to be sunny and 72 today. It's like, really? On January 26th? That is weather. And that bothers me. I'm way more of a cut and dry type guy. We're trying to be cut and dry here on the Rome Show. Andrew Romanella. Got a few more minutes left on the show. We're talking National Football League. Get in on the action. YouTube.com/The Romanellas. YouTube.com/The Romanellas. The Rome Show 1. Twitter, X, Instagram. That's The Rome Show. Then the number 1. Like I say, you can comment and give us your thoughts. Over the weekend, the Steelers hired former Dallas Cowboy and Green Bay Packers head coach Mike McCarthy as their head ball coach, a move that is clearly not moving the needle for most Steelers fans. And I would have to agree with that. Overall in his career, a 185, 123, and 2 record. That includes the regular season and the postseason. In the postseason, Mike McCarthy is 11-11, but he does have one Super Bowl victory to his record. That was with the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. He also has 4 NFC championship appearances with the Packers. From 2006 to 2018, Mike McCarthy had a 125, 77, and 2 record. He was 10-8 in the postseason, won the North 6 times. Like I mentioned before, 4 NFC title games and the 2010 Super Bowl championship. Took 3 years off from coaching and joined the Dallas Cowboys in 2020. He had a regular season record of 49-35, so still 14 games over 500, but it was the lack of playoff success during his time in Dallas that I think gives people pause, because in his 4 years there, 49-35, 3 straight 12-win seasons, the Dallas Cowboys, but only 1-3 in the postseason, which I think is why there's some concern from the Steelers fan. Did win 2 NFC East titles during his 4 years in Dallas. Mike McCarthy becomes the 4th Steelers head coach only since 1969 to complete that resume right there. Mike McCarthy's had 10 11 seasons of 10 or more wins, has won 8 division championships, has won 1 conference championship and 1 Super Bowl. He is one of only 15 head coaches in history of the NFL with 185 or more victories. The reason why I don't think that this is a fun signing for the Steelers fan is because it feels like you just hired the exact same coach you have had since 1969. And that is no disrespect to Tomlin, Cowher, and whoever else. No disrespect. But the Steelers fan is looking to take the next step. The Steelers fan is looking to get out of mediocrity. The Steelers fan is tired, though wild to say out loud, tired of being 9-8, 10-7, and losing in the first round of the playoffs. Now, as a Dolphins fan who has the longest lack of playoff victory streak in the National Football League at 25 freaking years, okay, I could see why making it and not winning a game doesn't really matter at all. Because let's say the Dolphins made the playoffs for 25 straight years and still have that streak or a streak similar to it, or 0-7 in their last 7. I get it. You're like, all right, when are we getting over the hump here? And then you go out and you hire a guy that has habitually left you right below the pinnacle. You go out and hire a guy that clearly can build a team to get to playoff caliber. It's clear and obvious. He's not an idiot. He's got a great resume. He's a great coach. I don't know how good of a coach he is in the postseason. I don't know how good he is at preparing his team for the postseason. And if you're a Steelers fan out there, that's probably what's going to piss you off. Okay? Like, didn't away from this, Mike Tomlin resigns. Aren't we looking to go to somebody like a Sean McVay, who not only has more offensive prowess and can kind of reinvigorate this franchise? Well, don't we want the next guy to be here also for 18 years? I don't think that's Mike McCarthy. Okay? This feels awfully like a gap coach. Give me 3 to 5 years. Can you get us a playoff win again? And let's move on with our lives. And I could be wrong. But if I'm a Steelers fan, man, this does not push the needle for me at all. If I'm a Dolphins fan, maybe a little bit. If I'm a Browns fan, maybe a little bit. Titans, maybe, right? Raiders, whatever. Arizona Cardinals, whatever. I would almost argue if you're a Titans fan, Mike McCarthy might push the needle a little bit more than Robert Saleh just because of the resume. But as a Steelers fan, I think this is like the last hire you were looking for. But nonetheless, we'll see what happens. By the way, good for Mike McCarthy. He's been the head coach of the Packers, the Dallas Cowboys, and now the Pittsburgh Steelers. 3 of arguably the most known and recognizable brands in National Football League history. That is a cool set of teams. In other football news, the New York Football Giants hired Denard Wilson as their defensive coordinator. Wilson spent the last 2 seasons in Tennessee as their defensive coordinator, and in 2023 was in Baltimore with John Harbaugh as his defensive backs coach. The Packers, they hire former Arizona Cardinals head coach Jonathan Gannon as their defensive coordinator, and the Dolphins, they promote Bobby Slowick from pass game coordinator to offensive coordinator. The Dolphins hired the Packers former OC as their head coach recently. Some news and notes not in the National Football League before we finish with best and the worst of the weekend. Just wanted to throw out a congratulations to point guard Derrick Rose, who joins the rafters of the likes of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen in Chicago, as his number 1 was retired over the weekend. 2008 to 2016, Derrick Rose spent his time in Chicago and arguably was one of, if not the best point guard in the league. Also in the National Basketball Association, Luka Doncic returned to Dallas for the first time since the trade, and he put his stamp on the game. 33 points, 15-point comeback with 10 minutes left in the game. And in 6 straight possessions in the fourth quarter, the Dallas Mavericks looked to attack Luka Doncic on defense, and there were 0 points come away on all 6 possessions. Plus, Luka drew a charge with 47 seconds left in the game to seal the victory for the Lakers. A beautiful moment for a guy whose former GM, who has since been fired, shipped him off to LA, not because of how good he is or how loved he is by the fans, but because he didn't feel like he was in shape enough or played good enough defense. So kudos to Luka Doncic. Shout out to him and the Lakers. I got to imagine you get traded away from a team that drafted you after like 8 years. You're the face of the franchise. You're one of the best players in the league. I have to imagine that was one of the more sweet victories for Luka Doncic. 2 things I saw over the weekend that were worthy of our weekend best of the weekend. And the first one was in Taipei. And I don't know if you saw this, but I got some video for you. Check this out. This right here is Alex Honnold, who scaled the Taipei 101 building without any host live on Netflix. It took him an hour and 36 minutes, 0 harness, all freestyle. Wild. Okay, the tallest free-form climb in the history of the world. 1,667 feet this building is, as you see the video now, is him reaching the top. The fact that someone can do this, be so unafraid,
He's done it.
and accomplish this thing, off the charts. Look at that. Crazy. When I saw that, I had to give Alex Honnold his due. The American freeform rock climbing guy did something you'll never ever see again until he probably does it on another building. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube or whatever,
he's taking a selfie
on the building right now. If you're not,
because
the
2026.
Rome Show one on Twitter X, we'll retweet it.
Wow.
With the wind blowing everywhere, just standing 2,000 feet in the air, no harness, nothing. That's rather impressive. I've never seen anything like it. I don't know if I'll ever see anything like it again. Shout out to Alex Honnold for that confidence, for dang sure. He was simply. All right, I got one more for the people. This was a really cool one. 18-year-old Blade Brown playing in the Amex Open over the weekend. Having a
concepts
cool
embedded with where he needs to take his mechanics and his putting and things like that. He goes all in. So we're so excited for it.
It's interesting with those tee shots,
like
with the firm bounces. I mean, they look good in the air, but then when you get down to the green, this one
a long birdie. That's the type of ish we are talking about when it comes to golf. See it again.
He's a smart young man, so whenever we get the concepts embedded with where he needs to take his mechanics and his putting and things like that, he goes all in. So
all the way down.
We're so excited for it.
It's interesting with those tee shots with the firm bounces. I mean, they look good in the air, but then when you get down to the green, this one
ended up shooting a 74, final round 74. So that I think he finished in like 8th or 10th or something like that. But Blades Brown, 18-year-old future of golf. By the way, Scotty Scheffler, ridiculous, won his first tournament in 2025. Pretty good way to start the year for the world's #1, longest active world #1 in the PGA Tour history of golf since Tiger Woods, who is the greatest golfer of all time. Scotty Scheffler, Blades Brown, PGA Tour. You are. If I was an athlete, that's the type of athlete I'm going to be. That's the type of athlete everyone should be. You want to be an athlete that fans want to interact with. The more you interact with fans, the more positive vibes you bring out, the more you grow your sport, the more you grow your brand, and the more you grow positivity. Thousands, millions of kids watch these athletes. I think you owe it a little bit to the little kid inside of you, let alone the next generation of athlete to inspire them. Blades Brown, kudos to you. By the way, Megan writes in, weather reporting, the only job you can have where you're paid to be wrong. Actually, Megan, I would counteract that. There are 2 jobs in the world where you are paid to be wrong. The first one is being a meteorologist or a weatherman, whatever you'd like to say. You know what the second is, Megan? The second job in the world where you get paid to be wrong? Officiating. Bam! If you're an official, you are getting paid to be wrong, especially in D3 college baseball right now and the National Football League. That's where we'll end it. Hope you guys have a great Monday. Must I say it's an electric Monday. Thank you to our friend Megan Down Under for always tuning into the Rome Show. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in. Remember, we're here every single day, 7:05, 7:10. Got to follow all the sites. Andrew Romanella. Until tomorrow, peace.
Thank you for listening.